Amy's meeting ran late, making me the last of the girls left at Forefield after rehearsal. Parr and Ned sat with me on the Robbins Center steps to wait for her. The dregs of pink drained from the sky, and a cold wind started up. Parr moved down a step to put his body between me and the wind. "Why are you at Forefield if you'd rather go to a co-ed school?" I asked him.
"It's a family tradition. My father and his father and his father and his father and the rest of their fathers went to Forefield, back to when it was just 5 pupils and a scandalous headmaster. Did you know that the first head got thrown out of England for killing a horse in a duel? The man he was fighting survived, but the horse died. Apparently, it was a very important horse. Parr's great-great-great-great-grandpa, great-great-great-great-grandpa, is one of the boys in the frieze carved over the fireplace in the Great Hall. He's the one on the far left with the funny ears. Hard to get a hat over them," said Ned. "Hey, Noodles, quit putting hats on my ancestors. I mean it," said Parr, cuffing Ned gently. "I never put a hat on your ancestor," said Ned. "Like I just said, his ears stick out too much." "Anyway, though, Dad would be heartbroken if I didn't go to Forefield," continued Parr. "We don't exactly see eye to eye on everything, so I assume I'm going to be disappointing him enough later on. I might as well let him win what he can now before the real battle starts." He paused, then added, "The boy-girl ratio isn't so bad at Forefield this year, though, with the play." "What about you, Ned? Do you mind the all-boys thing?" I asked. "Oh, well, I wouldn't say I like it, but I can't really complain. They're giving me a scholarship. Apparently, Grandison's great-great-grandpa, or somebody's great-great-grandpa anyway, thought the gramophone was destroying society by letting people play records instead of musical instruments. He endowed a scholarship for musicians. The only catch is that I'm not allowed to make any records while I'm at Forefield, or even listen to them." "No records?" I exclaimed. "Does that mean no CDs? How can you stand it?" "Fortunately, the trustees interpret that to mean ancient stuff like wax tubes and 78s, the kind of records that were around when the scholarship was started. They said it's fine for me to listen to anything digital." "That wasn't my ancestor," said Parr. "Can you imagine anyone related to my father endowing a scholarship for music? Tin-Ear Charlie himself? Although it would be almost like my grandfather to make sure a musician wasn't allowed to listen to music. He had strong ideas about what's worth spending time on. My father, too, but he's not as mean about it." "My father's kind of like that, too," I said. "He's always bugging me to do more extracurriculars so I can get into college, and then telling me that my extracurriculars are bringing my grades down." "Is he why you tried out for Insomnia?" asked Parr. "Yes, sort of, pretty much," I said. "Thank God for our fathers, then," said Parr. "Otherwise—" Amy drove up just then and honked, so I didn't get to hear why Parr was grateful for our fathers. He opened the car door for me, extracting a sour smile of approval from Amy, who sets great store by courtesy. As we drove off, I wondered what he had been about to say. Chapter 13. My Mother Gives Up. Thanksgiving. Yet another turkey. An identity crisis. A comeuppance. When I got home from school the next day, my mother was packing away the Halloween merchandise and bringing out the Christmas things. "Don't we usually do that after Thanksgiving?" I said. Mom finished unwrapping a tin Santa and sat back on her heels. She looked up at me seriously. "Hi, honey. I thought we'd better try to catch whatever traffic there is from the Thanksgiving weekenders while we still can. I didn't get that job I was hoping for, so I'm going to work for the Knick-Knack Barn.
They may not pay much, but it's steady and I get health insurance. They want me to start right after Thanksgiving. Oh, God, Mom. I'm sorry, I said. The Knick-Knack Barn, a heartless, tasteless chain 2 towns south, was my mother's ugliest rival. I'm not, said my mother. Don't look so gloomy. It's just until I find something better. It won't be so bad. The manager's a nice woman. She's letting me do the window displays, and I can open Helen's Treasures on weekends. Want to give me a hand with these things? Sure, I said. I just have to send some email first. I promised Eleanor, she's our editor at Sailing, that I'd let her and Seth know what I think about a couple of poems we're considering. Mom and I didn't have long to set up and sell the Christmas stock before Thanksgiving was upon us. I won't dwell on this bitter holiday, which I spent with my stepmother and her family. I would naturally have preferred my mother's company, but I wasn't given a choice. It was Dad and Amy's turn to have me. I biked over, envying the wild turkeys that vanished into the trees in a pale whir of feathers as I passed. If they had been shot, plucked, roasted with rosemary and lemons, and set on the table to be torn to pieces by Amy's critical mother, her prune-faced brother, his cowed wife, and their 4 boisterous, self-satisfied little boys, would the turkeys have had a worse time than I had? I will admit that the food was good. Of course it was. Amy made it. No soggy Brussels sprouts and cardboard stuffing for her. We had vegetables that snapped gently when you bit them, squash roasted to melting depth, fresh citrus cranberry sauce, and turkey whose tenderness remained uncompromised by the crispness of its skin. Amy, when are you and Steve going to give me a granddaughter? Asked my step-grandmother, helping herself to the last slice of white meat. It looks like I'm getting nothing but boys out of Mark and Susie. Amy went pale. Taking pity on her, I spilled some lemon rosemary gravy on her mother's blouse. The distraction worked. Beneath Amy's scolding, I detected a wisp of gratitude. But my act of generosity put me in disgrace with the family for the rest of the weekend, so I was doubly glad to get home that Sunday, especially after a weekend in my new